Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Codathrone. I am Achyudvardhan and today we will be completing the part 2 of the Kafka. In the previous video, I showed you how to run Kafka on Java Spring Boot project and when the Kafka is in cloud. But today I'll be showing you how to run Kafka locally. So let's get back and see how to download Kafka in your computer locally. So once we are on this Kafka website, we are seeing here we have a download Kafka. We need to go to the download Kafka. Once we go to the downloaded Kafka, we need to download this binary download. You can also download a Docker image, but in this video, I'll be going to download the binary download and going on to the process. So once you have downloaded this binary download, now, this downloaded file will be present on your downloaded folder or any specific path. For now, I have my Kafka folder in my Achyutvardhan folder. So, when we go inside the Kafka, we can see here we have few folders wherein we have bin, we have config. So, for this video, you just need to remember this bin and config. Now, once we go to the bin, now what are these files? These are the scripts for the Kafka where we will be using most of them. Now, let's go to the config file and see what all things are there. So, as we can see here, we have all these files called server files which we will be generally using. So these three folders won't be with you in the first hand. These three folders we will come back later when we will study about multiple servers, or you can say multiple brokers. For now, you can just remember, you can see the server.properties files. So now let's go back to the core concept of Kafka, how we will run Kafka locally. Once you have downloaded the folder, now what we have to do is we will be first studying about the single server. Now what is single server? It's like there is a one cluster and in one cluster we'll have one broker. Now we will go step by step and see how we can run Kafka. Remember, we don't have zookeepers, we have now Craft. Now in order to run Kafka on Craft, we need to follow few steps. Like we need to create clusters. Now these cluster ensures that all broker in the same cluster shares an identity. When you are running Kafka without the zookeeper, the storage system craft mode uses this cluster ID. This cluster ID is just an random UUID simply generated by unique IDs. So as you can see, this is just an example. Now what we'll do is we will copy this and copy and paste this one in the terminal. Now we can see we have four terminals here. I'll be talking each about them, but first what we have copied we need to paste down. Now once we have pasted, what we'll do is we will just click enter. Once we have clicked enter, a Kafka cluster ID would be generated. Let's see what's there in the Kafka cluster ID. Now, as you can see in the echo Kafka, when we have done an echo on the Kafka cluster ID, this is something generated randomly. Now, what we will do next is, now we will go and format the Kafka storage directory. Okay. Now we will just copy and paste this. Remember, we use this format to initialize the log directory. Standalone is used when we use a single node craft setup. Now, when we will be studying about multiple brokers in a single cluster, then we don't need to use this standalone. About this, we will be talking about later. Now this is the Kafka cluster ID which we will be using, and this is the config server.properties. Now what we'll do is we'll just copy and paste this command. Now once we have copy pasted this command, we can see we have an output coming, that is formatting dynamic meta voter directory. It is listed in /temp/craft combined logs with a metadata.version this. Now, what does this mean? That this command has created a log file for the server.properties. Okay. Now, what we have to do now is we need to create topics. After creating topics, we will be creating producers and then consumers. For the first scenario, what we will do is we will create a simple topic with no partitions. We'll have by default one partition and one producer and two consumer. Then we will see that on once we send a message from the producer, the message will be received on both the consumer. So let's go step by step. Now we will create the topic. Now before creating the topic, we need to run the server. Now in order to run the server, we'll this copy this command and just paste that. As you can see that our server started running. Now what we'll do is now we will create the topic. Now in order to create the topic without partition, we just need to copy and paste this command. That is bin Kafka topic, create the topic with the topic name bootstrap server localhost 1998. Now where we can have this local 1998. Now what you need to do is you need to go back to the config file. You need to click on the server.properties. Now in the server.properties you will see that there is a listener. Now the listener is in 1998. So remember that whatever the port will be here, you need to use that port. Don't use the controller port. Now what we'll do is we'll just copy and we will paste. We'll have a different topic name, like we'll have it my topic. We'll have this topic. Now we'll create the topic. Now we can see that we have created our my topic. Now once we have created this my topic, what we'll do is we will create a producer. Okay, the topic is created. Now we will create a producer. Now in order to create producer without keys, we just need to copy and paste this command. What this command says that we will go to the bean Kafka console producer.sh. These all files will be present on your bean folder. Now after that we will give the local host 1998 and the topic name. We will just copy this and we will paste it. So let's do an experiment. We'll have two producers here and two consumers. Then we will check for one producer and three consumers. So we have this and we will just change the topic name, my topic. So once we enter, the producer will start. Now what we'll do is we'll create another producer here as well. We'll click here, we'll paste this and press an enter. So these two parts will be the producers and these two parts will be the consumer. Now we will go to the documentation and copy and paste this command. This is similar. You just need to change producer to the consumer and the topic name you should change. Now we'll copy and then we'll paste. The topic name is my topic. We'll change it. As you can see, the consumer started, and similarly we'll do on the next terminal. So these two terminals are now the consumers and these two terminals are now the producers. Now what we'll do is we will try to send a message from producer 1. Let's say we send apple. Now once we send apple, we can see that on both the consumer we have the apple. Now from here we will send banana. Now as you can see, we both in the both end we have the banana. Now let's try one more thing, pineapple and then juice. So in the both the terminal we have juice and then pineapple. Now one thing I want to tell you here is in the consumer, what we have not given here is that from beginning. Now we have an annotation here that is from beginning. What we'll do is that we'll disconnect one of the consumer and check what will happen if we use from beginning. Now we'll copy paste and give here from beginning. From beginning. Now once we enter, so as you can see, we had the four messages: apple, banana, pineapple, and juice. What they will do is they will just collect all the messages and dump it here. Okay. So when we use this from beginning annotation, we can get all the messages from the beginning. And if we don't use the from beginning, we'll not get even a single message. Now what we'll do is we will go to a different scenario now. What we will do is we will create the producer with key. What will happen then? Now what we'll do is we will go here and check for the producers with key, and now as you can see here we need to add two more things, that two more properties, that is key separator dash. Here it can be anything like star or something. This is just a symbol where you can say that this is a key value, and dash, that is a pair value. And here we have a property called parse.key as true. Now we'll just copy this and paste this. Now once we have copy pasted this, as you can see we have a property key.separator and for property parse.key. Now we'll start the consumer. Now in order to start the consumer, either you can write this or either you can write these two. Both property will give the same result. Now what we'll do is we will just hit one dash apple. One is the key, dash is the separation, and apple is the value. We'll hit enter. It will give apple on both the side. We will hit banana to banana, so banana will be coming on both the side, or any random we will hit, all the messages will come on both the side. Now what here it is, like we have a topic with one partition. So on the scenarios on the previous video, what we have learned is if we have one partition, or when the consumers are not having consumer groups, same consumer group, then they will receive all the messages. So as you can see, we are receiving all the messages. Now moving on to the next scenario where we will create topics partition, and then later on see how the messages are sent to consumers. So let's go and make a topic with partition. Now in order to make a topic with partition, we need to just stop these consumers and producers. Now once we have stopped the producer and consumer, we need to create a topic. Now in order to create a topic with the partition, we need to just copy and paste this command, that is bin kafka with the partition 3. Just copy this and paste this. Now after pasting this command, what we'll do is we'll change the topic name. Topic would be my topic first. Once this is created, we will look is the topic partitions really created or not. Now in order to check that, we need to do is we need to write here command kafka topic.sh describe what is the topic name and the bootstrap localhost 1998. We'll just copy and then paste it. Now once we paste it, we'll have the replications out here. As you can see, the topic my topic 1 has three partitions: partition 0, partition 1, and partition 2. So now in this scenario, what we will check is like we will have it without the keys, and we'll have three consumers here, and we will see what will happen if we have three partitions and we have three consumers. Consumers are not in consumer groups, and neither we have the key. Now what we will do is we'll go to the documentation, we'll copy this and we'll paste here. We'll change the topic name to the my topic 1. Now once we have changed the name, when we enter the producer started running. Now what we will do is we will start the consumer as well. As we have three partitions, we'll have three consumers, or we can have more consumers, but the other consumers will be idle. So the consumers without key will just copy and paste here with my topic 1. Now as you can see, all the three consumers will be running. There are three consumers and it has only one topic. Then we will start giving the values. So as you can see, the three of the consumers started receiving the values one by one. Quit. So as you can see, that all the three consumers are receiving the messages now from one producer. Now what will happen if we started giving key and the consumers are not yet in the consumer group? Now in this scenario, what we'll see is like we will have the producer with the key and value pair. and the consumer as well, but the consumers are not in the consumer group. We'll see what will happen. Once now what we'll do is we will just copy the producer with the key. What we'll do is now we will change the topic name. Topic name will be the my topic dot dash one, my topic dash one. Now once we do it, the producer will start running. Similarly for the consumer, we will do the same. We'll just copy and paste the value. We'll have to correct this and we'll remove from beginning. I will click enter. Now similarly we will start this for all the consumers. Once all the consumers have been started, we will try to send messages to each and every part. As you can see, we are receiving in all the consumers. Now the fact is checked now that if the consumers are not in the consumer group, then all the consumer will receive the same message. So let's go to the next scenario where we will do it like also create we will create a consumer group and keep all the three consumers in the consumer group and check whether the each partition is promoted to one consumer or not. Now in this scenario, what we will do is we will be having a producer with the topic my topic one, which is having three partition, and consumer will be kept on one consumer group. Now remember that once we create a consumer, then only consumer group will be created. We will check one by one how it is checked whether the consumer group is created or not and how to assign a consumer with a consumer. Let us first now start the producer. In order to start the producer, we'll have the same command running and it will start the producer. Once the producer is started, we will start a consumer. Now once we will before this, let's see that the consumer is having consumer group or not. Now in order to check whether we have a consumer group or not, we need to write this command. So as you can see, we are having few of the groups. So we can use one of these at the beginning. When you will start, you won't be having any consumer group. In order to make a consumer group, what you need to do is you need to just run a consumer, then the consumer group will be made automatically. Now for an instance, what we will do is we will just add on a consumer group. What we will do is we will just run a consumer. Let's run it. Once we run this consumer, we'll just stop running the consumer and again we will check for the consumer group. Now as you can see, we have 7 consumer group here. Now which consumer group newly added is 4585. Now we will use this consumer group right here. Here we have what we need to add is group and then the group name. That is group and then we'll paste the group name. Here we have the group name and we'll press enter. So this consumer will started running on this consumer group. We will do similar for all the consumers. Now once the consumer are settled down, what we will do is we'll start giving here the message. One is an apple. So apple is received here. 2 banana. So banana is received here. And third 0. Third as 0. 0 is given here. Any random number. So the fourth is given here. So when we will try again, that we will give here as third as any random value. The third value will be coming here as the 3 is allocated to this consumer. Similarly, going to be giving 6. 6 will be allocated here. So this is the scenario where we'll have 3 partition for the topic and 1 producer and 3 consumers on the same consumer group. So this tells us in the scenario that each consumer will be given 1 partition and each partition will whenever the message is generated to the partition, the message will be sent to the consumer itself. Now we will be moving on to different scenario where we have now only one server, or you can say only one Kafka broker running on one cluster. Now what we will do is we'll have only one cluster but three different Kafka brokers. Yes, you heard right. Like we will have three brokers running on one cluster. Let's go step by step and see how this is implemented and how it works. So before that, what we'll do is we'll go to the Kafka folder where we have downloaded it. Now we will go to the config folder. Now in the config folder, what you will do is you need to copy this server.properties three times and paste it and give it a different name like server 1, server 2, server 3 or server 0. Here I have given server 0, 2 and 1. Now what we'll do is we'll go in each file and change few things. Now once we are in the server 0, remember there are two roles. There are broker and controller. Okay. Now you have to change each and everything about broker and controller for each servers. What first thing you need to change is this node ID. First node ID you should change. Secondly, what you need to add is this controller column bootstrap server. Here you need to include all the local host of the controller wherever and each server is running. So as you can see, this controller is running on 1993. So here we have given localhost 1993. Similarly, when we will go to the server one where we can see we have changed the controller to 1995. So we have given here localhost 1995. So we will come here back. But remember we need to add these two things, controller column bootstrap server and controller column for voters. Okay. Now what we have to change here? We have to change the listeners port and the controller port for each and every server. So here we have given 1992 and 1993. For advertised listener, here also we have changed the similar. Now here we have few things like we have this log directory. These log directory should be different for each server. So here we have given -0. You can also give -1 for server 1, 2, -2. Now when we come down, what we see here, we have log retention hour, log segment bytes, and log retention check interval. So what is this log segment byte? As you know that each event has a time to leave. So how it will be decided? Either we will give the time to leave option. Secondly, we can give the size of the segment. If the segment size is reached, the segment will be deleted. Right. So here you can change all these things like log retention hour as well. Now what we'll do is you have to change similar things. What all things you need to change? You need to change this part, listeners, all the ports, advertise listeners, all the ports, the log directory. After changing these things for each and every server, as you can see server 2, we have different node ID, we have different listeners port and controllers port, different log directories for server 1 as well. Now what you have to do next is you need to add these two things in all the servers. What are these two things? This is controller column where we will include the local host of all the controllers of the server where it will make it recognized that yes, these controllers are running on these ports and voters as well. So here 0, 1 and 2 represents the server name. We will go to the terminal. We are in the terminal. We are here. Now we will try to create a cluster. Now in order to create a cluster, what we'll do is we will copy and paste the from the documentation, but we'll change the name. We'll copy here Kafka cluster, copy this and then paste. We'll change the name of the Kafka cluster ID to the Kafka cluster and press enter. When the Kafka cluster is here, now what we'll do is we will format the Kafka storage directory. Now we will copy this, format the Kafka storage directory, this command. Now once we copied, we will paste it. Remember, you need to change few things. First of all, you need to change this server name, that is server 0, and then you need to change this Kafka cluster ID, and then you have to remove the standalone. Why we have to remove the standalone? Because we will be running 3 brokers in one cluster, so we will be removing the standalone. Once we press enter, now we can see there is a message coming like formatting metadata directory, and the craft combined log has been made with a version of 4.1. Okay, now let's check the cluster ID. In order to check the cluster ID, we have to just uh, use the command echo. I have used it before, so I'll press enter. Now this is our cluster ID. So we will copy this and we will go further on. Now what we will do is we will start running the server. In order to run the server, now what we will do is we will run this command, that is bin kafka server start.sh config server 0 properties. Okay, now in order to run the server, we'll just tap enter. Once we tap enter, the server will start running. Similarly, you have to do the same thing for the server 1 and then the server 2. So I'll make it quick. So now remember that this Kafka cluster is different. We need to change in the file log. What we will do is we will go, first of all, we will create for both the servers. So all the two craft combined logs have been made. Okay, now we will go to the folder. Now in the folder, what we will do is we will search for the, you can see we have log 0, log 1 and log 2. What we will do is we'll open this meta properties. Once we are in the meta properties, we'll copy the cluster ID. Now remember, when we are doing for all the server 1, server 0 or server 2, all will have the different cluster ID. We have to make it singular one.
So we'll go for the temp, we'll go to the command log metadata, and then we will change the cluster ID. Similarly, for the command to logs metadata, and then we will change this. Now, as you can see, we have all the meta properties and all have the same cluster ID.
Now what we will do is, now we will try running all the servers once again. So all the server will be started running. As you can see, server 0 has been started, and then server 1 has been started, and the server 2 has been started. Now what we will do is, now we will create a topic similarly how we have done for the 1 broker. So we will do the same for the 3 brokers now. What we will do is, we will create the topic, and after creating the topic, we will create a producer and then a consumer, and we will see if the messages has been sending or not. So in order to create the topic, what we will do is, we will create the topic through this command, and we will just change the topic name, that is here it's gadgets. So what we'll do is we will change the gadget name. That after changing the name, you need to give here the bootstrap server localhost for all the listeners, means you have to include all the ports for the listeners. Here we have 1998, we don't need this, so we will exclude it. Now once it is excluded, now what we have, that is local 1992, 1994 and 1996. These are the 3 ports for the listeners of the servers, and we have the partition 3 here. What we will do is we will just press enter, and the topic has been created. Now we will see that the topic has the 3 partitions or not. So in order to have to see the 3 partition, what we will do is we will describe. Now we will remove this 1998 and press enter. So you can see that the gadgets 1 has 3 partitions, partition 0, partition 1 and partition 2. Now once the topic has been created, now we will create a producer. Now in order to create the producer, what we will do is, like we have the similar command, but we have to change the name and we have to add all the local host. Without adding the local host, we will not be able to run this. So we'll go to the gadgets and we'll change the name gadget 1, and we have all the ports, and see we are using this key and value feature where dash will be used as a separator. Now we will press enter and the producer starts, and similarly we will do for the consumer. Once the producer and consumer has started, we will try sending the message. Let's say hello. Once we have sent the message, we will get here in the consumer as hello. Now, as you can see that our consumer has received the message from the producer. Let's try one more, like two of banana. So we will receive here banana. So as you can see, we have received the message from the consumer. Now, how to implement it in Spring Boot? The process will be similar to what we have done on the previous video. Just we need to change one configuration. Let me show you what configuration we need to change. So we are here. We have to change, like we need to change the bootstrap server what we have done in the configuration to localhost 1992. If you are running on only one class cluster and one broker, otherwise you need to include all the local hosts, and then the producers will have the similar producer and consumer will have the similar configurations. Only you need to add the bootstrap server and remove the all the SSL features which we have added in the configuration, and it will good to go for running in the Spring Boot. So that's it, guys. This is how the Kafka is being implemented and running in locally. I hope you like this video. I hope you like my explanation. On the next video, we will be talking about resilience 4J and implementation in the Spring Boot. We will be talking about circuit breaker, we will be talking about rate limiter, we will be talking about a lot more things what Resilience 4J provides us and how it is being implemented in the Spring Boot server. So stay tuned and like and subscribe my channel if you like my video. So thank you guys. Bye.